Welcome, everybody, to Why Are You an Entrepreneur? I'm Maureen Edwards. I'm the founder of 8 Simple Steps. And for those of you who are just tuning in or you're watching the replay, I will tell you this is our weekly series that we stream on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. And this is where I bring you rockstar entrepreneurs to have a rockstar conversation because we know any small business owner who's taken the risk out there to start a business is a rock star. And tonight is no exception. I have Mimi Sheffer, and she is with Maverick Marketing. She is the CEO and founder of this company. And Mimi, I am so glad that you took a little bit of time tonight to share why you're an entrepreneur and help other small business owners out there with, your words of wisdom and inspiration. So my quick question is, why are you doing this? Because it's hard.
It is hard. It is an uphill climb. I think a lot of us think that success is a straight line up, and it's very often that jagged journey, right? And so it is hard. And I think if you knew how hard it would be at the beginning of your journey, you might not undertake the journey. But the rewards and the payoff and the growth is what really propels most of us forward. And that's absolutely, it makes everything worthwhile. So I'm super excited to be here and to share my journey with all of you.
So, how did you become an entrepreneur? Like, how did the journey even start for you?
That's a really interesting question. My mother was an entrepreneur. When I was a little girl, she had a bow company called Nip and Tuck. And my grandfather was an entrepreneur. He had his own souvenir shop and restaurant. And so my sister's an entrepreneur. So it just runs in our blood. My
Yeah.
husband's an entrepreneur. So when I was pregnant with my second child, I realized that life with one child and being a full-time working mom was difficult enough. With two, I knew it was going to be nearly impossible to, save my sanity. So I started looking for exit strategies. I started a photography business and, did that for several years, from baby photography to toddlers to family photography. I did some weddings and then portraiture, and then real estate. So I kind of covered the whole gamut. And I realized that wasn't scalable. There's no way to add more hours to the day. So I started looking for other options and found direct sales, and I have loved it. And I got into coaching, really the solo entrepreneur journey when the algorithm changed in 2018. The Facebook algorithm, before that we could just post, and pretty much everybody saw our posts, and it was easier to sell. And to market our goods and wares. But then the algorithm changed and made it really difficult. And I was really curious about how that all worked and how to make it work for me. And so I got heavily invested in coaching and understanding, training, and education, how the algorithm works. And so that launched me in my own coaching business. And here I am several years later.
So, tell me, what were the challenges that you experienced going from like more of a corporate, regular job, what we call the real job, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, what was challenging about starting your company, whether it's the photography one or even the one where you're working with others on this algorithm?
It's really interesting. I think there are a number of challenges. Being the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker, doing it all. There are only so many hours in the day, so a lot of people want to leave their 9 to 5, and they may not realize they're going to be working 24/7, right? And you have to understand that, or you will very quickly be discouraged in that process. But once the beauty and the glory of being an entrepreneur is once you are able to automate some of your systems and put pieces in place, then you can outsource, or you can take time off without having to ask for vacation time, having to clear your calendar at work. So there are a number of liberties and freedoms that entrepreneurialism allows you to have. You just have to make room to make that transition from that 9 to 5 safe job, right, into setting everything in place and not having someone pushing you to do that. I think that is a challenge as you step into entrepreneurialism.
When, at what point did you feel like your company had achieved a big success? And what was that success?
I think when I put my social media audits online and people started flocking to find out how they could improve their social media presence. And I very quickly saw that, we all know how to use social media. We all know how to make a post, but the ability to do it and do it well can be a little bit challenging. And so when I realized that people really needed and wanted to understand from, someone else, from an objective outsider, how to make that algorithm work for them and um, how to improve their presence online, that really struck a chord with me and made me realize that there was a huge need out there.
Well, I love that because what entrepreneurs are always looking for is the need,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And how do I fill this need? How do I serve, the people out there better who have a real problem? I mean, that's what entrepreneurship is we're problem solvers, right?
Yes.
For certain pain points.
Mhm.
And we either have the courage to go for it or we don't, right? So, give me a little bit of an idea about automation because I'm sure a lot of people are curious about what you automated to make things easier in this journey.
Absolutely. And I apologize for my notifications. I'm trying to shut them off right now. The automation that I have put in place is text messaging. Um,
Oh,
text, text messaging has a 99% open rate, and most people, 90% of people will open a text message within 3 minutes, and 99% will open it within 20 minutes. So it's much better open rates than email. Email only has, 18% open rate and 2 to 3% click through rate. And so there's a huge migration to text marketing, text platforms. And so I have started to use Project Broadcast in my marketing automation. And so that allows me to separate from my phone. I'm not giving out my phone number, I have a separate phone. And I set up keywords. So it automates the process behind the scenes. And, when people inquire for information, you can have them send a keyword to text it to your number. And that allows you the freedom not to have to respond to 100 messages or dings that set off your notifications in the middle of the night. So, yeah, it's a much easier and more sustainable way to run a business.
oh my gosh, I am loving this idea. So I'm going to dive into it just a little bit more. Are people okay with handing over their phone number? I mean, emails are hard enough to build a list. You're building a phone list. Are
It
they
is
okay?
a little bit different. It is a little bit different. That's a great question. I think people, when you realize, for example, my upcoming summit, I put a note in there that says, text me if you want text reminders. Send me a note if you want text reminders. And in when I'm giving away my freebie or when people are registering for the social sales summit, they are including their telephone number. And so it is an easy migration to get that. I think people are more willing now than they were a couple of years ago. I don't know about you, but my email system is just absolutely clogged with, marketing emails. And so I think people would prefer to get it because they can look at it quickly and either answer it, respond to it, read it, or just let it go. And so it's the wave of the future, in my opinion.
Well, I love this because I absolutely adore email marketing. It does have a 4,200% return on investment.
Hmm.
It is the number one way that I nurture my audience and, communicate with them and have my highest conversions from
Hmm.
my email list. But it does take time to build an email list. So,
Hmm.
what I'm thinking is that this idea that you have synergistically integrated with email,
Yes.
kind of working those two together in a very strategic way, especially if you have an event. I mean, how awesome is that to use
Yes.
that as the reminder to
Yes.
have better show up rates?
Hmm.
So I think this is great.
I think
Great.
it works really well in conjunction with a really good sustainable email
Yeah.
campaign. Yeah,
Yeah.
to nurture your clients and give them information. Text is absolutely for action-oriented messages and short messaging. So not necessarily even complete sentences. You know, if
Yeah.
you have a sale, if you want to let them know the cart's opening or closing, those are the kinds of messages that you're going to get. So it definitely spurs action, but you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. Email is where it's at, and that's what our businesses are built on, and nurturing them through that process by giving them information is never going to be replaced by text marketing.
Yeah, I like how this is more of the FOMO thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's much more urgent. So I just
Yeah.
think the two of them, I think that's some of the best marketing advice out there. So if
Oh,
you
thank you.
everybody who's listening here, in fact, that was what I was going to ask you. I mean, we talked about automating your business and how much easier this process can be, but I was also going to ask you what one of your favorite marketing strategies is. I mean, you just answered that there, but are there certain platforms that you're having really great success out there that other entrepreneurs could too?
You know what? I love Instagram for a number of reasons, but one of the most powerful mechanisms, and I think it's really underutilized, is the stories and the story highlights. And here's why: you can create highlight bubbles around products, around events. So you can create these bubbles and add different kinds of information to them by featuring them in your stories and then saving them to a highlight bubble. So then you can build out these portfolios of information as a highlight and just refer back to them. And when you go live on your newsfeed or in your stories, you can say, check out my highlight bubble labeled, you know, event. And that really allows you to sell passively because you're always referring people back to those bubbles where you have. And I definitely recommend people put a variety of different information in those highlight bubbles. You know, some people like charts and graphs, some people like seeing before and after photos and transformation stories. So it's important to catalog a variety of different visual and technical information in those highlight bubbles. But I think that is a very underutilized section of Instagram that people should really make sure that they're utilizing to the fullest.
Do you think maybe it's underutilized because everybody's on the real bandwagon, the REL bandwagon, where
Quite
that's
possibly.
like the craze right now? It's like taking over everything with TikTok, and stories used to be like the big thing.
Uh-huh.
And maybe that's why, everybody's jumping on reels.
Maybe so. You know, Instagram is always going to come up with something new and fresh and different, right? Well, here is the thing. This is a super secret technique and tactic that you can utilize because you absolutely should be utilizing reels. But here's what you can do to increase the viewing of your reels. You save your reel to your news feed and also save it to the reels tab, right? And then put it in your story. And then you can save the story to a highlight.
All right. This is amazing marketing advice, everybody. Okay. From somebody who's been a marketer for 25 years. Okay. And I love the art and the science of it. And you are
Yes,
giving people a little bit of science and a little bit of art. So thank you very much for sharing that. So I hope
you're
people are
welcome.
taking notes on that. That's great information.
I love the psychology behind marketing and sales and how those two work together because your marketing messaging is going to be very different than your sales messaging. And so, what I really like to do is marry the two and frame your marketing strategy with sales tactics and make sure that you're using the correct framing and making people feel that FOMO and feel that urgency to make a purchase. So there's a lot of psychology in it, and that intrigues me absolutely. So I love that.
So, what do you find most fulfilling about entrepreneurship?
Helping other people grasp that it can free you from the chains and the bondage of corporate work. It can free you from financial insecurity. And what I love most is seeing the light bulb go off in somebody's eyes when they get it right, when they understand a concept or they grasp how freeing it can be to have either a side hustle or an entrepreneurial full time hustle. That is just it's a gratifying feeling, and it makes all the late nights and early mornings and challenges really worth it. Is impacting someone else and giving them the keys to their own cell and allowing them to walk out and feel the freedom.
I love that. And that's why you take the risk and you
Yeah,
see how it works out.
yeah.
So you said your husband's an entrepreneur as well. So this is very curious for me how two entrepreneurs, in the family, like one is hard enough and we've got two going on here.
Yeah.
Do you both work from home and have to juggle that? Or, what does he do? Like, I'd like to know what type of entrepreneurial venture he is on.
He has been an entrepreneur for 30 years, 27, 28, 29, I think 30 years. He had a home team, home inspection franchise in upstate New York before we met. He sold that and moved down to Florida, where I was living at the time. I was in Orlando. And we met on a blind date. And after he sold his home inspection business, he was playing golf and he decided to start a artificial grass putting green and synthetic putting green business, which has morphed into, landscape, artificial grass and landscape. So he represents Field Turf Tarkett, which is the largest manufacturer in the world of carpets and artificial grass. And he had his own franchise for 19 and a half years. And then the franchisor, Field Turf, went back around and started buying up the most successful franchises. And so he has run the Florida division of his company since he sold it back to the manufacturer in 2017. So he's been doing the same thing, selling and installing artificial grass for almost 25 years. It'll be
Wow.
25 years in January. Yeah. He
Wow.
actually runs an office. I mean, there are, I think, 40 employees and 5 different full-time crews. So it's a big business.
That's awesome.
And no, he does not work at home. I
Yeah,
mean,
thank goodness, right?
right. He is this week. They had a flood in their office. And so they are taking care of some water damage and some mold remediation. So he's at home with me in a very small office. And that is a bit of a challenge. But yes, there are lots of challenges having two entrepreneurs. We
Yeah.
both think we're right all the time.
Yep.
And we don't necessarily leave room for the other person to have as much of an opinion as they should. It works well that we have our own businesses. Let me say
Yep.
that.
And different businesses,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
So, were you an entrepreneur during COVID?
Mhm.
Was there anything that you had to do to pivot your business during that time?
I think after the initial shock of the shutdown, I think we all realized that there's a way to make this work for us, but we have to work it. We can't sit and be paralyzed and inactive. More millionaires are made during recessions than there are in the most prosperous times.
Yes,
So
there
it's
is.
yes, right. So I mean, that you're like the business guru.
Well,
You
I
absolutely
just
are.
well, I appreciate you saying that, but you're absolutely right. In times of crises, some of the biggest startups have happened during the worst economic downturns.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Airbnb started.
Uber.
Um, I think uh, Elon Musk with one of his companies started. So, and you know what I think it is, Mimi, is that you have to be more scrappy
Mm-hmm.
during that time.
Yeah.
And scrappy is a great word for
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs because
Grit,
it's not
gritty,
easy.
right? Yes.
It's already hard enough,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really hard when you're in economic downturn.
Mm-hmm.
And you just are much more creative, you're much more resilient.
Mm-hmm.
You're just a really good entrepreneur, a really good business person. And so and I guess that leads me to my next question. I mean, everybody's talking about a recession, whether we're in one or there's fear for one. Is there anything you're doing to prepare for that?
You know, According to statistics, the average family needs to make between $450 and $500 more per month in 2022 than they did in 2021 in order to live at the same level of lifestyle. So the need, that's, $5,000 extra in this year that they need to make in order to have the same standard of living. So as much as you can do, get busy, lean in, and don't wait for things to get better to take action. Take action now. Don't sit in paralysis. Don't sit in analysis. Don't sit in fear. Get busy and start doing something. And one of the easiest businesses to start is digital marketing. Create some assets, sell
Yeah.
them. You can sell them on Instagram in a highlight. You don't necessarily have to start with all the bells and whistles. And so I have a couple of pieces of advice. Find some grants, apply for some grants, try not to put it on all on your own credit cards, because that can be a very dangerous proposition. But don't try and start with all the bells and whistles. Scale up as you go, and outsource, get interns, do the things that you're good at, and try and find help for the things that you need help with. And you'll go much further and much faster.
Great, great advice. Okay, so like that's gold. All right. So we're talking about big time wisdom here. And I mean, that's like incredible. So
Okay.
can you give me a little bit of an idea of like your ideal person who you serve out there, who you really feel like you're making a difference with?
Of course, I serve mompreneurs and entrepreneurs, small to medium businesses, brick and mortar. Some are, virtual. And I help them really understand how to work the algorithm to increase their visibility and magnify their messaging. If you look at your following, only about 2 to 3% of the people that you're connected to are seeing your posts.
Yeah.
And so you really need to do some pre-work and some post-work, and some, daily work in order to keep in contact with your network, so a greater percentage of your following will see your posts. And those aren't difficult things to do. So I work with mompreneurs, I work with entrepreneurs, and I do some social media management as well, if anyone is interested in that.
So when I hear this, I
Mhm.
say, okay, these are all the things you do. And there are a lot of people out there who do it. But of course, I have you here right now, and I think you're amazing.
Thank
But I
you.
want you to tell people out there, like, what makes you different than somebody else who maybe is a social media strategist out there?
That's a great question. There are so many different specialties in social media. It depends on really what you're looking for. So if you're looking for someone to do, branding and graphics, there are lots of people who offer that. If
Right.
you are looking to do your own social media or outsource your social media, and learn how to do it on, as you scale up, then I can help you with that. I have
Okay.
visibility strategy, and branding expertise. And I've worked in this field for a long time. I've been in social media for 8 years. And so I know how it works. And if you're looking for someone with experience in all aspects of social media, from reels to stories to strategies and automation, both with visibility, working with the algorithm, and with branding strategies, I'm your girl.
Awesome. All right. So, where do you want to take your company? I mean, we talk about scale. Everybody throws that word out there. What does scale mean to you with your company?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, I would like to, ooh, it gives me butterflies a little bit. I would like to have a full time team working with me. I would like to outsource some of the tasks that I don't really love and enjoy, which is the technical pieces. I have
Yeah.
a great contractor that helps me. She's a friend of mine. Her name is Tara. She helps me when I need help. But I would love to have regular work for her and put her in a part time position, to take care of some of those things. I think building out funnels is really important. So I would like to have lots of different streams of income and different opportunities and entry points for people to come in. So within 3 years, I want to make $1 million in revenue.
I love the ambition. Okay.
Yes, I'm terribly ambitious. I think it's one
I
of my worst traits.
no, no. I always say a strength taken to extreme is
Yes.
a weakness. So you have to take that ambition and put it in the right places. But I absolutely love. I wouldn't you rather have somebody who's ambitious and the work ethic is there? I mean, that's entrepreneurship. You have to, and you have to have confidence.
Hmm.
And I think one thing that I'm getting from you is you exude confidence. And for other
Oh,
small business owners out there, you know, if you're going to do this, you have to really believe in yourself.
you do. And I think one of the things, we are trained to look for a job, right? That safety and security. And breaking out of that box, that comfort zone, can be really intimidating and terrifying, once you are just now once you begin the process of stepping out of that comfort zone. But man, when you really break out of that comfort zone, you break the box altogether and burn the boats, so to speak, and start really passionately pursuing an entrepreneurial line of business, then the whole world kind of opens up and responds. I like to think that the universe is conspiring in your favor, right? Because once you prove to the universe that you've got the grit and the resilience to take it all the way, then that's when the freedom comes in, and you can risk big and know that there are big rewards on the other side of that risk. And most importantly, you're serving people, you're helping people, because I truly believe that each and every one of us has an innate gift and unique skill set that can improve the lives of other people. And once we tap into that and share that, then the world is a better place.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, is there a favorite quote that you have that would be inspirational for somebody on the entrepreneurial journey?
I just shared one of my favorites. The universe is conspiring in your favor. And I will say this, there are days when, at 10 o'clock in the morning, I feel like, oh my gosh, I've gotten so much accomplished. By 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so far behind. So the ups and downs in entrepreneurialism can be discouraging sometimes. So I have to say to myself sometimes, the universe is conspiring in your favor. Like everything is happening for you. It's not happening to you. And so those are two really powerful quotes that motivate and inspire me. And I'll leave you with this one. I really love this one. It's the will, not the skill. All the skills are learnable, but it's the will to be willing to walk that path. It's, definitely the path less traveled. But when you walk it and you've got the will to do it, then the skills you'll learn on the way.
Yeah. Oh, it's tangible versus intangible. And I don't know. I don't think will can be learned. Like,
Yeah.
really, I think it's either in you
Mm-hmm.
or it's not,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess we could have a whole conversation. Are entrepreneurs born
Yes.
or are they created?
Yes,
Like,
that's great.
you know,
One of the things I love about the founder of Spanx, gosh, I can't remember her name at the moment.
oh, I love her. Oh, I
She's
know.
amazing, right?
She's
So one
amazing.
of one of the things that she has talked about in the past is that her family celebrated failure. And I think in our society, I know in raising my own children, we focus a lot on successes. When I wish that we would focus more on failures. What did you learn today? Because failure is just feedback, right? It's all a learning process. So there's no winning or losing, there's just learning. And so if we can, if to answer your question about are entrepreneurs born or are they created, I think if we can feed our children the wisdom, and I'm trying to do this with my own, but I fail on a daily basis, so I'm not perfect. But if we can impress upon them that everything is part of the learning process, and that they should celebrate their failures because it's just one more avenue that they don't need to try on their way to success, then we will build that resilience and encourage entrepreneurialism. And I truly believe that's the way of the future.
I agree. I agree. People don't want to not be in control of their destiny.
Yes,
That's
for
really
sure.
what it is. Nobody wants somebody dictating what their future is. It's going to be on you. So,
Hmm.
so I would really like to have you share where people can get a hold of you
Okay,
if they would like to reach out and talk all things marketing here. Can you
absolutely.
share that information?
Yes, and I'd love to share about the Social Sales Summit if that's okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
perfect. I've posted about it on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, but I'd love to share it here. On Thursday, 1 week from today, November 10th at 10 a.m. Eastern, we are having what's called the Social Sales Summit. And we are having big, huge marketing and social media experts come to one single space. It's a virtual event, it's free, and sharing their favorite social media marketing strategies and business strategies that are working right now, because we know it's a very dynamic space and we know that it's always changing. So you're going to get actionable intel at this summit. And of course, it is free to attend. All you have to do is register at thesocialsalessummit.com. That's thesocialsalessummit.com.
Great.
And you can reach me on any of my handles on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn at Marketing with Mimi. And my clubhouse handle is Marketing Mimi.
Awesome. All right, everybody. I hope you took notes on that one. So I am going to ask you to definitely come back, especially as you're going to be hitting that $1 million mark. People are going to want to know that process that took place. But you have shared some amazing, amazing gems tonight. And like I say to everybody, I bring you rock stars, whether they're just starting, they're growing, or they've been in business for decades. They have wisdom. So I really hope you took some notes. So I think that's a wrap for tonight. And I
Thank
want
you
to
so
let
much.
everybody know that if you are a rock star entrepreneur running a small business, or maybe even just starting, I would love to have you reach out to me to be a guest on this series. So just reach out to 8simplesteps.net. I have a contact form there, but you all know where you can get a hold of me on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Just go ahead and DM me. Let me know what you're thinking. And for those of you who do need help with business strategy and all facets of it, please let me know. Let's have a conversation. So, Mimi, you'll be back.
Thank you so much, Maureen. You're the best. Appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate you more. So, thank
Nice.
you.
Thank you.